I think that looks like everyone, almost. Good evening, everyone, and welcome and thanks, and welcome back to another business network meeting. We haven't had one for a while, thank you, thanks to COVID, and we would have loved to have been meeting face to face, but we will do that in the future when we're able to. I'd just like to just outline tonight and just let everyone know that tonight the meeting is being recorded so that we can provide a link to our business partners who couldn't be joining us this evening, and also there will be some recording for Channel 7 News as well. So I just wanted to let everyone be aware of that. Online tonight we have Madam Mayor, Councillor Daria Turley, and we have our General Manager, James Nankivell, Patrick Kreitner, our Visitor Services Manager, and we've got our team, Kyle and Jade, who are running the meeting for us behind the scenes. They've hidden their faces, but they're very important and they're going to keep us going. We've kept everyone on mute tonight. If you have a question, please put it in the chat bar. We will try to address questions towards the end of the presentations. Those that we can't actually get to this evening, we will do similarly like we've done with other business meetings, and we will collate those answers and email them out to everyone post the meeting. But for now, I'd like to welcome our Mayor, Daria Turley, to welcome you and also do an acknowledgement to country.
Thank you, Anne. And I think Anne's still talking and I've talked over her. So thank you, Anne. And can I acknowledge that we're on the land of the Willakali people of the Barkindji Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to welcome all our business partners back to our online forums. And tonight you're going to hear from Anne Andrews and Patrick about really an update about what Council's been doing and what the future is looking like. And today I actually took the opportunity to meet with the Premier of New South Wales, Dominic Perrottet, and I really met with him to raise the issue about our border crossing, but took that opportunity to also congratulate him on wanting to open up regional New South Wales and get our businesses started again. And although there'll be some rules and some changes, you know, how do we actually help you looking at our cash economy and looking at our businesses? Without small business, we don't have employment. And so we're very happy to provide this forum. Can I just say that although we've been in lockdown, our staff, Anne and Patrick, have been working very hard in their teams to make sure that the work has been done. Jane Nankivell, our General Manager, again, has been working with our infrastructure team. So Anne's going to outline some of those roles that are happening that's going to make Broken Hill more business-friendly council. I'll hand over to Anne, and I look forward to hearing her update. Welcome back. You know, I know business is going to be tough at the moment. Let's hope that we have a great Christmas, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to share a screen with you, and we'll move through those things. But we've had a number of projects that we've been working on for a fair amount of time, and they're starting to come to fruition. And in 2022, we're going to have a big year of infrastructure events and festivals, which provides tremendous opportunity for our business community to get on board. So if we look at the events that are coming up in 2022, I'm just having a trouble, moving my screen around. We have a significant number of events. We've got two Monday bashes. We've got one in March and one in August. Council, in support of those events, will be hosting fringe events in the CBD to really activate that street, because we want the visitors on both sides of those events to be eating in our restaurants and visiting our cafes and visiting our galleries and buying from our retailers and just enjoying the space. So we'll be activating that and having some musicians and artists in those spaces either side of those events. We've actually got a funding bid in with the government to assist us with the first Fringe event for next year in the summer fund. So we're hoping we're successful in that as well. We have the Heritage Festival in April, the Perfect Light Festival also in April, and then the Broken Heel Festival in March and in September. A music festival in partnership with West Darling Arts and some other stakeholders in May, and then of course Ag Fair at the end of May. So just in terms of events, there is a significant amount of things happening which will attract visitors to our, not only our city but our region. Aligned with that, we've got a number of, sorry, my screen is going to jump around, I think. We have a number of infrastructure projects that are also going on, which we know that are going to add value to our visitor and tourism offering. We are currently working with consultants, which a number of you probably have heard from, in relation to developing a new wayfinding project for the city. This is also funded by the New South Wales State Government through the Far South West Joint Organisation. They're currently in a consultation phase to work out what it is that makes our place so special, trying to dig into those stories and working out what are the stories we want to be telling our visitors. So once they've come up with that sort of scope, we'll be going to public consultation, because we'll actually be looking at different ways to present wayfinding around the city, and whether that's signage, whether that's new art, whether that's sculptures, whether that's the use of technology and all those sorts of things. That will be an opportunity for everybody to come together early in the new year and be a part of that consultation and inform what it is and what it looks like when we go into this new wayfinding project. We're also currently about to install our banner poles. Now, this is a draft plan that you're looking at of where the poles are going. So the green poles are the poles for Argent Street and the Central Business District. At this point, we've had the geotechnical team in this week to have a look at where those banner poles will be placed. The general map is that they will be, the general map is that they will run down Argent Street, but we're also looking at taking flags towards Glen Street in sulfide, bromide, oxide and iodide. And there will be two bookend poles at either end of Argent Street as well. And we also have the bookend poles being put in Patton Street. So thank you. I've got a tech person actually working on my screen while I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm finding it a little bit distracting. Excuse me for a moment, just while my tech person is fixing something. I will say the tech person is the general manager standing next to me at the moment. Sorry.
We've run through this earlier, Anne, didn't we? And it was working so well.
It was, but thank you, Mr. General Manager. I'm not sure what you could see, but anyway. So I just need some confirmation. Patrick, can you see the maps for the Argent Street?
Yes, I can see.
Thank you. Okay, so sorry about that, everyone. We the issue that we've got at the moment is that we have had some feedback, and we've done a bit of a survey of the Central Business District businesses to discuss if we were happy to start with the installation of those banner poles prior to Christmas. And the feedback has been that there was a fairly strong consensus that the preference would be that we would start installing those banner poles post-Christmas, so that we don't impede Christmas trading in with businesses trying to recover from COVID. So we've had a conversation with the installers this week, and so that will be held off until post-Christmas. And the goal is it's an 8-week installation, and the goal is to have that in situ by St. Pat's and work with St. Pat's and then other event coordinators to be able to have their flags up when events are taking place. The standard flag on those poles will be the logo of a National Heritage listed asset, which we have licensed to be able to use, and then we can swap them out for events as events roll around. The other interesting project that we've been working on is we've got access to a platform called SpendMap, and SpendMap, I'm not sure if any of you might have seen a press release that we put out a few weeks ago that looked at some of the money that's flowing into our economy, some of the money that's flowing out. What we can see is how COVID has directly impacted our economy. You know, what we're spending online as a community. And if you have a look, this is the dashboard. So between September and August 2021, there was 271.3 million spent in our economy. But the interesting thing about this information is that in those 12 months, 68.96 million was residents spending money outside of our business community. And there's an online spend of $104.7 million. That's not just residents, that's business spend as well. And we're trying to get a breakdown of what that looks like between the two at the moment. But the resident escape spend is interesting because we can break that down and we can see that about 7.5 million of that is spent in Mildura and about 4.2 million of that is spent in Adelaide. So we're really keen to be working with businesses over the next few months, especially in the lead up to Christmas, to really put a push on our residents to be spending local, because even if we can bring some of that money that's flowing out of our community back into our business pockets, it's going to be much better for our economy and our retailers in the long run. If you look at the year-on-year changes, obviously COVID has had a significant impact on our income, especially around visitor spend. So, for example, in August 2020, we had $5.3 million spent in the economy by visitors. And in August 2021, it went down to 3.35. So this is a bit of a data platform that we're still learning to use and understand. But what I would say to businesses is if you're looking at going for grants or some of that COVID grant support, and you're trying to put the grants together and you need some data or some background to show what impact escape spending or COVID's had or any of those types of things, this is the kind of data we can be providing to you to assist you with grant applications or any of those types of things. So please feel free to contact us at any time and ask us if we've got this kind of data that can support any of the projects that you're doing. this is it's a bit more busy, this spreadsheet, but we can actually break it down into all the different sectors in our economy to show what is local spend, what is resident spend, what visitors are spending. So it's also probably very valuable for those of you who hold events, because we can do a comparison of how how an event impacts on our economy by looking at, you know, either month either side of the event or either weekend the side of the event, and that will give you some very clear data on the expenditure that is brought into the economy, both by visitors and increased expenditure by locals at those events, which again provides you with an opportunity to really demonstrate what impact that you're having on our economy by putting on events and festivals. That's about it from me. I just want to put a shout out for our events team. They asked me to remind our business community that we are going to host the Christmas pageant on the 18th of December. Nominations have been a little bit slow, but we're really, really keen to put this event on for the community. So if anyone is interested, either get online and register or have a chat to the events team about how you might like to participate. We're also going to be holding the after party as well, and we're also gearing up to do the New Year's Eve event. So if anyone's interested in participating in those events, just contact either Patrick or myself or the events team, and happy to have a chat. Thank you. And I'm going to hand over to Patrick.
Thank you, Anne. I'll see if I can share my screen, or I have to call Jay over.
Yeah, sorry everyone. This is our first time doing an online meeting, so please bear with us as we learn the technology, along with probably a million other people in the world.
Can everyone see that? Great. All right, so I'm going to give you a bit of an update on the tourism side of things. My name is Patrick Kreitner. For those who don't know me, I'm the Visitor Services Coordinator for Broken Hill City Council. I'm stationed down here at the Visitor Information Centre. Very excited about next year, obviously. It's going to be very interesting, 2022. We are well, we're open for business. The VIC has opened 2 weeks ago, and we're back to our 7-day opening hours. So that's 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, and then weekends and public holidays 10 to 2. So those opening times are slightly different to the ones we had before we went into the whole COVID situation, but they proved to be working quite well for us and for the customers especially. 6 staff are down here, including myself. There's 3 full-time and 3 part-time staff, and if we're really lucky, we might get a trainee next year, which will be very exciting. It's been a few years without a trainee at the VIC. At the moment, we're trying to keep up with all the changes. A lot of businesses are obviously in a transitional period where they are making difficult decisions about when to open, and if they open up, what type of opening times they should have. Many of them are struggling with staff. So there's a lot of changes happening on a regular basis. Most of you might have seen my Tuesday news blast that I email out to the industry with the most up-to-date visitor experiences opening times. So that lists all the different attractions in Broken Hill, but also the surrounding area, and is really helping you help the customers that you have, knowing what businesses you can refer your customers to, what attractions are operating. The changes are happening sometimes on a daily basis, so the hard copy PDF also has a online page equivalent on the council website, and that is updated sometimes daily as businesses are telling us their changes to the opening times. So please keep updating us so we can let our visitors know. And of course, if you do have brochures, ideally DL size, but at a push, we take A5 and A4 brochures as well. Of your attractions, galleries, museums, even any business, we're very happy to put them up here on our brochure racks in front of the customers as they're walking in. What we've also done last year is we've rolled out what we call VIOs. That's not a term I made up. That's actually an existing term. That's short for visitor information outlets. They're all around Australia. They're basically referring to visitor information that is not manned by any staff. So there could be a touch screen somewhere, or it could be a brochure rack somewhere. So what we've done last year is we've rolled out 7 of those branded stands. They all look the same in a number of places around Broken Hill. That includes the library, which you can see here on the photo, the Geocenter, the art gallery, which is now in the gallery shop down at the town square, the admin centre, the Living Desert Pay Bay, but also the airport, and the 7th one was at the Broken Earth Cafe. You might have heard that that is not going to reopen for a while. They're going to have some major renovations happening in January. And so we're looking at shifting that one to the Railway Museum very, very shortly. If you are a business that gets a lot of visitors, and you would be interested in hosting something like that in your business, just let me know, and we can have a talk about that. They contain the visitor guide and the map. Obviously, they're the most important collateral for visitors to pick up in hard copy, but also council brochures and other attractions, the Living Desert, Geocenter, any art gallery exhibitions, the cemetery map. And they're very popular. What we also did last year, we put a information outlet out in front of the Visitor Information Centre to access out of hours. Something we've learned from last year when we were not fully operating 7 days is that, you know, visitors are here 24/7 and they want information 24/7. If we can provide it to them 24/7, that's even better. So we have a basket with pre-packed visitor information out the front, and that is there 24/7. So if you've run out of visitor information in your business, you can confidently send them down to the information centre to pick up a pack. The new visitor guide and map, Pace is in the process of printing those. The current one had a bit of a shelf life. It was originally only 12 months. Then it was extended to 18, and now we're very close to 2 years. We still have only a little bit left though of the current guide, so it just comes in time. The new guide will be delivered most likely next week. I'll send out something if it's here, and I would just ask businesses that would like to pick up bulk supplies of the guide and the maps to call ahead. We're still very, very careful with COVID-19 out there, so we would like to arrange for contactless delivery, or pickup, I should say. So if you call us, we can put some outside for you in the lane at a particular time for you to pick up. That would be preferred. Here we go. There's Kathy there, Kathy Ferry from West Darling Arts, holding up some new exciting maps. That's the art and culture maps of Far West New South Wales. So there's 2 different ones that were developed by West Darling Arts with some funding. One is Broken Hill and Silverton, and the other map includes basically all the other towns and everywhere in between in Far West New South Wales. They show the location and contacts for galleries, museums, and very excited about this public art. We get a lot of questions about where's all the murals, for example, or the sculptures. Anything of cultural interest in our region. There is an online version as well on the West Darling Arts website with interactive maps, and these maps are obviously aimed at the visitors to the region, help them engage more fully with what arts and culture has to offer in the Far West. We have had gallery maps in the past. They were always very popular with visitors and obviously with the gallery operators as well, but there were always one-off things that happened. So I hope that West Darling Arts will be able to continue them on a regular basis. And those maps will also be included in the VIOs, in the visitor information outlets. Now I've mentioned all the hard copy paper stuff, which visitors are obviously still very much after, but increasingly important becomes the digital information. I'm going to talk again about the ATDW, the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, just to give a brief overview of what it is for those who haven't heard about it. So it's the national tourism marketing platform representing over 50,000 small to medium-sized tourism businesses and destinations. So that includes accommodation operators, it includes museums and galleries and other attractions, it includes tour operators, events, and most hospitality businesses. I think they do exclude big chains, like you wouldn't find a McDonald's or a Subway on there, but you would find cafes and restaurants on there. The main goal is to support Australian tourism businesses to make the most of their digital marketing efforts, expand their reach, promote their offerings, and attract more online traffic. By creating an ATDW listing on the online database, tourism operators will benefit from being listed in their state or territory tourism organisations' consumer websites. So for New South Wales, that's visitnewsouthwales.com. But it will also display on australia.com, and there are hundreds of websites from distributors. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the most exciting thing outside the reach of this is that it's free. It is absolutely free. The only thing you need to do is hop on, create your listing, and make sure you go in there at least once a year to update it. Even if you don't have anything to update, go in there, change one little thing, you save it, and you're fine. If you don't, then your listing will expire. Actually, coincidentally, this afternoon I got an email from Fleur from Destination Network Country and Outback, sending me a list telling me that there's about 65, I think was the number, 65 businesses in our area, Broken Hill and surrounds, that have expired. So they will not show up anymore. Make sure you're on there. Make sure you have it up to date. All the more importantly, now there's two developments that makes it even more attractive to have the ATDW listing up to date. One of them is an announcement that Jan Hutton, the new CEO, did only a few weeks ago. The ATDW will link with Google business listings, which is very exciting. I'm not sure what the details are going to be, but in effect, it will mean that one will update the other. And as you know, Google business listings are probably the most important listing you have out there in the world, considering how many people are using Google, including Google Maps. So that's exciting. That creates even more value for ATDW providers. The other thing is that Broken Hill City Council has also just last week become a distributor officially of the ATDW, something we've been talking about for many, many years. Pace, who are running Broken Hill and surrounds tourism portal, which is Destination Broken Hill, they will connect to the ATW directly and will pull listings out to populate the website. So again, if you're not showing up on the main tourism website for Broken Hill, it will most likely be because you haven't created a listing or haven't updated it. Now, if you're all confused and you're not quite sure what to do next, you're very welcome to call Crystal here down at the Information Centre. She'll be able to tell you if you have a listing, if you can take it over, if it's been expired. Phone number and email address are just on the screen. If you need to make any changes to it, if you need access to it, or if you have to create one from scratch, Crystal won't be able to do that for you. You'll have to get in contact with the Get Connected team. They're responsible for New South Wales. Get the phone number and the email address there, and they'll be able to help you. We all love a bit of data. Anne just showed us the dashboard, and I'll show you another dashboard now. This is from Localis, and this is all about accommodation data. I hope you can all see that well. We've engaged with Localis earlier in the year. They do access accommodation data by mining the big websites online. I have written them down somewhere. Oh, here we go. So that's Airbnb, Booking.com, Stays, and TripAdvisor. So it will mine those websites. It will register how many properties there are listed on there in our LGA, which are currently 92 accommodation providers, which is quite a staggering number. Obviously, most of them are different cottages and apartments, but it is a staggering number of accommodation providers in Broken Hill. And knowing, being able to mine the number of rooms available at any given time, they will also be able to then calculate a daily occupancy rate for the whole LGA, which gives us amazing information. So you can see here, so the last update was the update for September. So if you have a look there, occupancy rate at the bottom left there, that's a very interesting curve to look at. You can see that abyss of April last year that we plummeted into, where we were only at 26% occupancy rate, and the amazing, very, very quick recovery that we experienced once we opened up again in June. Very busy June, July, school holidays, and extremely busy September and October especially. So that does pretty much reflect all our experiences with visitors in town last year. The occupancy rate for October was 86%. You see what went down for summer. We started off really well in April and May, and then it went downhill. Not quite as bad as last year, mind you. So that's some really exciting data. There's a little bit more detail here. So you got the number of the properties, current properties here, 92 at the top. That shows you the occupancy rate of the last 3 years. So the green line is 2021, the red line is last year, and the bluish line was 2019. So you can see here September last month was 46%. Comparing that to 83% last year and 63% the year before. So that gives us some really good data. It also gives us data on average daily rates. It gives us data on the reservation window. So that is the time between booking and arrival, which you can see there generally sits between 3 and 4 weeks on average. And this is probably the most exciting graph, and it goes hand in hand with Anne's presentation on the events next year. So this is the future demand analysis. which is now going to be updated every week. This is the latest one. This has only been updated today. So as of today, you can see here that is per day, the occupancy rate for each day between now and beginning of May. Obviously, knowing that people book ahead between 3 and 4 weeks on average, that will of course change as we go along. But this gives us a bit of an idea of what to expect. It's always interesting to see the peaks in this graph. So at the moment, we're looking at close to 60% occupancy rate. It's actually not too bad. Nothing exciting happening here over the next few weeks, according to this. There is quite a peak, and that is actually the 25th and the 26th of December. So that would suggest that there will be a lot of visiting friends and relatives finally being able to travel and coming to Broken Hill. As expected, we got our trough in the summer. I think it's everyone's guess of if that will be just a normal summer or if we will see a little bit more traffic compared to last year or the years before. Hard to tell. But the exciting thing is going into the next season when it starts in March. So at the moment, this peak here, sitting around 34% occupancy rate at the moment, it's the St. Pat's weekend. That shall grow a lot more as time goes by. Then we got a mid peak here, sitting at just under 60%. Now that's the first that's the first Broken Hill Festival end of March. So that's the postponed festival from this year. And then you can see this massive peak sitting at already 72% occupancy rate. And that is end of April. That's the Broken Hill Monday Bash, take 1. So that gives us some really, really good information on what's going to happen, how busy we're going to be. Exciting data. I should actually say something about that as well. With the peak, so earlier this year, when we still had the original Broken Hill Festival dates and the original Monday Bash dates, both were sitting at over 90% occupancy rate. And we're hoping that we're going to get there again in the coming weeks. People might be a little bit more reluctant through the experiences of the last few months than they were earlier this year. It's definitely going to be a busy year. We're going to have some accommodation bottlenecks, which is a good thing. I mean, ideally, we have Broken Hill booked out every day. But of course, we got to manage visitors that are coming blindly to Broken Hill. And you'd be surprised how many there are, who don't know what's happening event-wise. I think hopefully the banners in Argent Street are going to help. If we have our big events illustrated through the main street, no one can say, I didn't know that was going on. But you'll still have people rocking up looking for accommodation, and during bottlenecks that we're definitely going to experience next year, the question is how to deal with the influx of people who need accommodation and might not find something straight away. Importantly, we want, of course, all our visitors to feel welcome and cared for, no matter at what time of year they do arrive. So how can we deal with it? A couple of years ago, we have put together an accommodation availability tool online. That was at the beginning instigated by Andrew from the IBIS. We've been using something very similar for many, many, many years. Since I've been here, and that's about 15 years now, we never ever, no matter how busy we were, had to tell a visitor, sorry, we can't find anything. That hasn't happened once. In extreme situations, we had to do a lot of call arounds, and sometimes we had to invest half an hour to find accommodation for a visitor. That mightn't have been their preferred accommodation. It might have only been for a night where they wanted to stay for 7, but we never ever had to say to someone, sorry, you might have to drive to the next town or have to sleep in your car. Obviously, we're not open 24/7, and we can't, as staff, be available to do that 24/7. We're happy to go out of our way, of course, when we are operating, and that's where this came about, to say, okay, well, why don't we put something that we're using internally already out there and give all the accommodation providers access to fill out this very simple spreadsheet. If they have no vacancy, similar to the sign they're hanging out the front of the motel, no vacancy, they go in here and say, look, on that day, we are full. That would, of course, help us, helping the visitors, but it would also then help all the other accommodation operators who have access to this. I have sent out an accommodation survey a while ago and have had some really good responses. There were about 15 responses all up, and 16 responses. And so thank you for everyone who has filled that in. So I've asked a few questions about how people are, how accommodation providers are aware of that tool, how they're using it, if there's any suggestions for improving that, or if there's any alternatives they would suggest. Because in the end, it's not about us, it's about the whole industry and how we can communicate better to provide better service to all our visitors. It's good to read that half of the accommodation businesses that have responded are using this tool on a regular basis. Most businesses use the tool as a reference to help their customers when they are full. But there's definitely some frustration that was voiced about that not everybody is using it. And so it sometimes requires a lot of calling around. It was also interesting to know that there are a couple of comments from providers who were reluctant to put their information in something like this, even if it's just about vacancy or no vacancy, and happy to share it with the information centre staff, but not with their competition. Someone also voiced a concern about who administers it. So it's really self-administering. It is a sheet that's live, that is updated live, so you don't need to save it. Everybody can go in and adjust their vacancy with that simple drop-down box. But I'm very happy to have the industry lead the way in what's the preferred communication tool. I talked with the Dubbo Visitor Information Service Coordinator, and they used something like this that didn't really work out, and they ended up using WhatsApp. They have a big WhatsApp group with all the accommodation operators in it. It won't give, obviously, that forward planning that this tool gives, but if it seems to work quite well. So if it's a busy time, the operators will just put into the WhatsApp group, I have availability still, or I'm out. But again, it works for Dubbo, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for us. I've given a few alternatives in the survey, what other technology some people would consider to be helpful. WhatsApp was actually at the bottom. So I would say that's not necessarily something to roll out in Broken Hill. Interestingly enough, the current accommodation tool that we're using has come out far at the top as the most preferred version, to just keep using that. There were a lot of suggestions made about improving the tool, and I will have a talk with our IT department of how we can make this a little bit more customer friendly for everyone to use. I'm also really happy to give a training session on it, because from the feedback I've seen, I noticed there's probably a few that could benefit with having actually someone talking through. So I'm very happy if you're interested, for you or your frontline staff in your accommodation business, to get a short training session on this, happy to book something in similar to what we're doing now on Teams, and I just hop on, share my screen and just talk you through it. That's not going to be a problem at all. Any other suggestions regarding this or any other communication tool when it comes to accommodation vacancies? Just either pop it in the chat now or email me anytime. That's pretty much nearly everything I have. This is obviously just a small part of improving the way we deal with customers in Broken Hill, with our visitors. It's really important to work together to ensure that our visitors have an amazing experience, no matter what business they go into, no matter what the time of year is. In an ideal scenario, every frontline person in all your businesses is an ambassador for the city and has a real good understanding of all the knowledge that's out there, all the products that's out there, all the attractions, all the museums. And I know from experience that that's not the case. And very often you have people that have moved here have a better understanding of the tourist attractions than the people that have grown up here. And that's quite a normal thing to happen. I think that's probably true of everywhere you go. We always appreciated when me and my staff are able to do familiars, which we're going to do again during summer. We're visiting your businesses and get the full idea of what you're doing, so we can pass it on to our visitors here at the information centre. So if you're really keen of having the VRC staff come and visit you during the summer, again, just shoot me an email and we can arrange something. However, on the other hand, I also think it's important to have your frontline staff trained up, just in terms of knowledge about what's out there. What are we actually telling our visitors? What are we telling them to look at? And I'm very happy to do a course on this as well, or courses on teams for your staff. So if you're a manager or owner of any tourism business in town, you feel your frontline staff, they really should know a little bit more about what's going on in Broken Hill, so they can help your customers. Very happy to arrange something. Just send me an email and we can arrange a little training hour, and you have the opportunity to ask questions. But talking about questions, I think it's time for questions. If you have not already put something into the chat, you can do that now. And I can see there's already a few questions there.
Hi, Patrick, it's Anne. Thanks, Gigi, for the question around Mad Max. Looking at the accommodation data from Localis, which Patrick was demonstrating before, it appears that they haven't locked in all their accommodation as of yet. We can't see it in that booking data sheet. We do know that they are still committed to filming in Broken Hill early next year, probably starting around April, but their dates are still being confirmed at the moment. And we as a team are working with them both on location scouting and securing accommodation. So I would expect shortly that we would start to see that accommodation being solidly booked. And I know that the Warner Brothers accommodation team have been talking to many accommodation providers at this time. So we don't have an exact sort of time frame that we can commit to at the moment to say it's committed and locked in from this specific date to this specific date. But we do know it'll be a couple of months, and that there'll be a significant number of people here. The other question that was put into the chat, I'm not sure if everybody can see it, was will you have access to the presentation and the slides following this evening? Yes, you will. We'll get those out to you as soon as we can. And I'm sorry you couldn't see all of my presentation tonight. We'll sharpen that up and send that out to you as well. They were the couple of questions that have popped up. I'd just like to have a chat, very quick chat, about Council is building an economic development team at the moment. We've currently taken on 2 trainees who some of you would have spoken to in the last couple of weeks, because they've been doing some cold calls, really asking some specific questions about different. One was about Telstra issues, which we've been speaking to the CEO of Telstra with a joint organisation in the past week about connectivity issues that are facing businesses in Broken Hill and region. And we're hoping to get a response back from them shortly as well about how they can assist our businesses, particularly around the internet dropping out and your FPOS not being able to work when it drops out. And given that we've become very much a cashless economy, they recognise that that's an issue. So we're hoping to get some response back on that shortly and be able to report that back to you. With the growth of the economic development team, we certainly are looking to having much stronger connection with the business community. And in the new year, I'll be looking to be trying to put together like an advisory group or working group who can assist me and the team to be able to really support businesses to be able to grow and look for opportunities that can help them grow. So we'll be looking for some people to put their hands up and, you know, point us in the right direction about how we can best assist you. So that's probably from me. I'm not sure, Mr. General Manager, is there something that you would like to say this evening, or are you just observing us?
Thanks, Anne. Nothing further from me. I think you've covered off, and just want to say congratulations to both you and Patrick on tonight's presentation. Obviously, did it virtual tonight, and hopefully we'll be all meeting in person in the near future, which we're very excited about. But as Anne mentioned, we are really looking at reinvigorating our economic development team within the council and making sure that we've got that presence within the community, that businesses have got somewhere to go to, that we can advocate on your behalf and keep pushing through with the CBD revitalisation. So if there is any questions or anything that you would like us to focus on, please let us know, because we will be much more active and present over the coming months and into the years as we develop that team. And yeah, looking forward to it. And as Anne mentioned earlier at the start of the presentation, we have got Christmas coming up, and we do have the pageant, which we're excited about with the easing of restrictions. So if we can make that an event where we can bring the community back together, that's going to be fantastic as well. But well done tonight. Thanks, Anne and Patrick.
Thanks, Jay. And over to you, I think, Madam Mayor, for the final word, maybe.
Thanks, Anne. And I think for all of us, we were fascinated not only about the planning around our infrastructure and the big events coming up, but also looking at the data that Patrick provided. I love data. I think everybody knows that, and it really helps us plan, and it helps us work closer to you, the small business owner in town, and not so small business owner. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think Clyde Thompson and Deb Hunt are online tonight, and Clyde is the chair of Destination Country and Outback, who's joined us. So yeah, no, congratulations to the staff and the team. And I think the important part is that we keep listening to our partners and that we collaborate together to build a stronger economy for our community. So thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And with that, I would like to thank everyone who joined us this evening. Please feel free to email Patrick or myself or council and especially our events team if you're interested in the pageant. We'll call it an evening there. We'd like, and please thank you. We'll get together face to face shortly, we hope. So good night. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.